Morning, everyone. Today's going to be just a quick video about how this program, this virtual lab, if you want, works. So I'm going to try to walk you through it. So here's the link that I sent to you. Then you're going to click on not the lab version, but just the intro is fine. And then you can see what we've got here. We've got a whole bunch of different objects. This is a resistor. We have switches, we have light bulbs, batteries, and wires. But we are going to be going back and forth between this view and this schematic view. You can see on the left-hand side these things all changed from what they looked like before. And the reason for that is largely we're going to be working in the schematic format. And so it's useful for us to get used to what those pictures look like. And it's nice in this version that we're able to just switch back and forth between the views so that we can connect how we think of these things with how we actually draw these things. This is a battery. You've probably seen sometimes I draw a battery with more long and short lines, and your reference table shows it not as a battery but as a cell. And that's not that big a deal. You can actually see in the light bulb here that drawing looks different too. That's because this is showing you this as a LED, not as a light bulb. So I can click and I can drag wires in. We're going to do our best to make this as close to schematic drawings as possible, which means everything's going to be meeting at right angles. You see these little red dotted line circles. That's where everything's going to kind of snap together. You also notice that when I drag these things in, after I drag them in, I can change their length by clicking on that and holding on that red dotted line, and I can change it to whatever length that I want. All right, so I make my simple circuit. This is the simplest series circuit that you can have. One battery, some wire, and a bulb. And you see if I switch to the regular view, I can see what it would look like if I were to build this, say, in a classroom. And you, just like in a classroom, you could see how bright this is. You can see by those yellow lines there, its relative brightness. So I'm going to do something. I'm going to change the voltage of this battery, and I'm going to increase it. And you can see as I increase it, those lines get longer, they get darker, or I don't know, thicker, so they change relative to how bright the bulb is actually supposed to be. So this big voltage here, whatever is like 90-ish volts, is going to produce a really bright light bulb, whereas this really low voltage here is going to produce a really dim light bulb. And I'm going to be asking you a bunch of questions about how that brightness changes as you change the circuit. Say as you add more light bulbs, and as you say change a different type of circuit from like series to parallel or something like that. Just also know that sometimes I'm going to say resistor and sometimes I'm going to say light bulb. Remember that anything that uses electricity is a resistor. So a light bulb is a resistor. All right, so it's like squares and rectangles. Okay, so here's our voltmeter. We put a voltmeter just like we draw them on one side and on the other side of things. So here it is on one side, here it is on the other, and we get our 29.5 voltage reading. All right, if I were to put it in the opposite direction, you see I get a negative 29.5. It's no big deal. Remember, voltage is a potential difference. It's like the steepness of a hill. All right, that's why the light bulb gets brighter as it has a steeper hill. And if I'm measuring a kind of a high to low or a low to high, one way I'm going to get a negative value and one way I'm going to get a positive value. So the simple solution is just to switch the sides and you get that same number but a positive value. So I can put that away. I can pull out the ammeter. When I pull out the ammeter, well, this is not actually how an ammeter is going to work for us, say if we were in the classroom, but it's how this is going to work, and it's fine. You just put the little bullseye over a wire in the circuit and you get your actual current reading. So you can move it anywhere you want, and it's a little bit easier because you don't actually have to physically wire it. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here you can add. There's fuses, dollar bills, coins. You can even add a hand or a dog. I don't recommend that. And you can see what each one of those things do. So we can switch back and forth. We can put stuff in the circuit. We're going to be building series and parallel circuits and answering questions revolving around how the circuit is measured, how it changes, and it's a way for you to actually make a circuit and test out what you're doing. So hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully this all is going to make sense. We'll play around with this. Oh yeah. So this is the conventional current. This is the electron flow. We're just going to leave it on the electron flow right now, and we'll get into that a little bit later. All right. So have a good day. Thanks for playing. Have a good weekend. Just kidding. See you tomorrow online.